All right. You extricate yourself from here. Are you guys going to just kind of keep the sunstones out, get warm, and just chill for the night? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think staying here for the night's not a bad idea.
Okay.
It's dead, so we're fine.
It is dead.
Although it's still on the map.
Well, we have its head, so unless it had a mate
Yeah.
or something else, which it's
Well, yeah, its spirit's already departed to Vish, to
Back to
Ilvir?
Ilvir. Thank you. Because that's what happens with his spirit.
It just goes back, and it'll.
It goes back and it becomes another
Vashu.
Avashu.
Like the Avatar.
Huh?
The Avatar.
not quite so grand. Just more run-of-the-mill reincarnation.
So, get up early, and I want to cook up some that fresh meat.
Ew.
What?
For Muley.
For Muley. I was about to say.
So we have something good to eat for breakfast, because fresh meat's great to heal with.
He was a pet. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, really, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys were that close. And how close were you if you gave a mule the name Muley?
It's a cute name.
Now, in my D20 kids game, my 5e game, the name of the mule was Humphrey, and when they neglected the mule and it was slaughtered, I mean, not that I'm blaming anybody for what happened, all right? I'm not judging anyone, but when that happened to the 11-year-olds, they were
crushed.
they were crushed.
Not happy.
They were not happy.
Traumatic.
You killed Humphrey. You're so evil.
You traumatized 11-year-olds.
I also started naming all the goblins that they were slaughtering, and that also definitely made a different experience. The first one's name was Scritchy, and then Scratchy, and then Scrunchy.
I want to fight a goblin named Scritchy.
All right, so
Scrunchy holding hair.
You spend the night here and stay warm and
Set watches, yes.
set watches, and I think you're in a pretty good position, pretty defensible place. Nothing's going to harass you here, and it's early the next morning. Do you wish to do any other things in this place before you leave it behind?
I still bet there's treasure
I think
down
there was
there
some
somewhere,
people who wanted to search, right?
but I'm not going down to find it. So
That's fair.
it's as simple as that. Let's go.
All right. It's not a long trek back to the manor. So I'll just fast forward it by 2 or 3 the next day. You
Dramatically throw the troll's head down on the court.
Is that what you guys would do?
No.
Yes, you would.
It's just a castle.
Well, we're knights. We're expected to protect the populace, so this is proof we've done what we're supposed to do.
And
Well,
also
it's
to a castle.
A little hubris doesn't hurt.
Their call. I'm not.
So by 2 or 3 the next day, you wake up, you break camp, you have to haul all of your stuff because Muley is no longer around. So a little slow going, but you find yourselves back in the village of the Jazzlime, where they have moved on from bathing sheep to shearing sheep. They're in the sheep shearing business around here. And any of you who had a joust injury, let's go ahead and do the mechanics of the healing roll just to get done, because enough time has passed since the joust, certainly.
All
To
right.
make a healing... Go ahead.
I have a right shoulder and a left hip, and I have the
Okay,
die next to the injury.
So if you got it on the joust, it is the healing rate of the injury, the HR that we established. So if it's like 5 or a 6 or whatever,
Right?
take that and multiply it by 5.
No, just
then-
hit the dice and it'll do all of it. There's a die
Oh,
right
no.
next to it and it'll do all that for you.
Okay, great.
Right.
Yeah, it knows the macro.
Oh yeah. Input value.
But the target modifier is 5.
No.
No. Okay.
You
What's
Just
the
don't put
target
anything in the
modifier?
modifier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless Muley Meat gives a bonus or whatever.
Okay, so that was a joust injury. Is that correct, Bridget?
Just my right hip.
Okay, so injury level is reduced by 1. So if there's an M1, it becomes M0 and it goes away.
Sweet. I'm done with that.
Yes.
Okay.
You're done with
So I got a marginal success as well.
that. Okay, if there's an M1 injury, which I think it was, it becomes M0 and it goes away.
All right. It was M1, so I can delete it.
You can. It finally, it was a really bad bruise, and it,
Okay.
you're kind of limping a little bit on it for a while, but by now it is. I mean, it might be a little bit discolored, but it is for all intents and purposes, it is now gone.
So the shoulder injury is gone. My hip injury is still being a pain in the hip.
Yep.
For a little bit longer.
For another 5 days, you get another crack at it. How is that? Oh, you roll 79. What was that? Doesn't seem right.
That was my hip is a medium 1 with a 2 HR.
It has a 2 HR. How did that
Yes.
happen? I'm not even sure if that's somebody must have. Hold on a second. Injury. I don't think you can get a 2 HR. I mean, even
Okay.
if you. Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
Even if you try.
Certainly nothing that I did to it.
Yeah, so I mean,
That's like rubbing dirt in it.
the lowest you can get is like a injury like that is like a H4. So,
Okay.
Well, if you fail healing rolls, it can get lower. But usually that's because of infection.
yeah, but it's the. But once
Right, that's my
you're making a healing roll, it's injury levels. It's no longer the healing rate. So I don't know how. I mean, even if there's even if it was a injury level of, you'd still be if it's an H4, it'd still be
79 still wouldn't have made it.
79. Still would not have made it right.
So. All right.
Target
so
EML
let's see.
seems somewhat off. I don't know.
Do you want to just put that as a
That's how you
4
do
in
it.
case it got hit somehow? And
Yeah, just do that.
All right. So I've got 1 injury left, and I'll raise the HR to 4.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
done.
just do that. I don't know where. I don't know why. It can't be a 2 is almost impossible to get. That's
Okay.
just- I mean, if it was like a grievous stab or cut, yes, but a bruise you can't mess up.
I think an ignore is even a H4.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
All right. I got 1 injury left. My hip still bothers me.
right. Well, what we got with the troll in the cave is 5
That's
days. Roll on it.
Okay.
All right. So you're back in Jazzlime, and do you guys the knight of the manor is no longer supervising things. The Reeve and the Beetle and the other important serfs are out there supervising things, but it looks like as you come in that the village is in full operation, and will certainly produce the bales of wool or the bags of wool that is the fee for this place that should go back to Yged. Plus a great deal of surplus that'll go to market. Do you guys wish to have a conversation here, or just continue on back to Yged?
We should have some conversation.
Yeah, we should make sure this guy knew the ramifications of his chasing away the villagers at the other place. You know, he kind of brought this whole troll attack on his people himself. But say that very serendipitous or surreptitiously. Thank you. I will learn to say that word someday.
We do want to tell the peasants. We should show the monster to the peasants.
Yeah.
You guys put it on a pike or something.
And we make sure the
Right,
peasants
we can-
know that they no
All right.
longer have
Well,
to
you guys-
fear.
When you guys come back into town, it's like a big deal because you've been gone for a couple of days. They mostly assume that you were dead at this point. So there's a big, you're in the town square, kind of where even the triangle is right here. Of course, the inn is right there to the south. It's probably late enough in the day that you'll end up staying the night here.
Yeah.
And you come in and you come along that road from the north there into town. Everybody's down by the creek, or they're at the communal village barn. They're shearing the sheep and sacking the wool and baling it up, and a big crowd of them gather around and follow you into town. You did not. You left your horses here, I think, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Yeah, you
Yes,
come get
we
your
did.
horses at the very least. So they're wanting to hear all about it. They want all the details, and you pull the head out and hoist it up, and everybody just oohs and ahs. And it's a very misshapen looking creature, and the head of it is about like half as big as a human head, and of course it's just not at all human looking. It just has that weird pebbly skin and kind of almost clay-like features, but it's very slack-jawed, and its eyes are kind of drooping right now, and they want to hear all about what happened.
Well, I have very
Dame Bridget,
bad
tell
oratory,
them-
so
Tell them how you slayed this troll beast.
Bridget was always better at telling stories than I was, so I let her.
It's not a story; it's the truth.
I'm a bit
Just-
shy.
You can just say, "I tell them what happened." It's okay.
Yeah, I'm shy. Okay. Yeah.
All right,
I
I'm
did.
going to tell how she slayed the beast in the cave. The great fight they had, and waist deep water and all this stuff, and it
Fell
had a
down the
club,
hole.
and it was vicious, and
Okay, you don't have to mention that part.
blah blah blah.
No, she was so brave that she leapt down the hole after the beast.
All right.
Preemptively.
Already the story takes on new alternate facts. So
I wasn't there to see it. That's
nobody can see what happened. She could say she jumped. Nobody would know otherwise,
Honestly,
Except for
I'm
her
just
heart
ready to
scream
talk
on the
to
way down.
Castle.
except for the scream on the way down.
I did
That wasn't a scream; that was a yell
not
of
scream.
pure joy.
That was
at
your
the,
battle. That was her battle cry.
Okay.
No, I said a cuss word.
All right.
It was her battle joy, but the creature wasn't down there yet.
So, in response to all this ruckus, the knight of the village, he comes out.
Sir Lame.
His name is not Sir Lame.
Well, he might as well name himself that.
He comes out, and he looks. Are you guys? You're still in the square when he comes out, and looks you all up and down, and so that was it, huh? I mean, he doesn't say it like that's all it was. He's like he wants to know that was it. It's done. That was the cause. That's the tone that you get out of it.
I toss it to his feet.
So what is this beast? He asks.
Some a Bashu thingy.
elbowing Emrys.
Oh, you want to know about Ilvir and the wonderful things that come into the world, and some of the not so wonderful things that come into the world from the god Ilvir. That is what this is. We've sent him back to Ilvir.
Permanently, I assume.
As permanent as that can be.
All right. Well, he looks you all up and down. Well, so how was it that this? You're going to tell him the story about why it was out and what it was
Yes.
doing. All right. All right. Go ahead and give a recap. It's Sir Cathal is his name, by the way. If you want, how do you explain it to him? I know you kind of briefly did, but he's staring at you. He's staring at this thing.
Well, it appears that the village of what is the character would know the other race.
The Cath tribe. village.
The
Yeah.
Telda tribe. Telda.
Telda, sorry, that's right.
Yeah,
The
it
Telda.
appears that the Atelda tribe knew this creature was living in this hill, and were giving it sacrifices of deers and whatever to appease it and keep it from being quite so bothersome as it was to you once the tribe was pushed away. Maybe if you made
So they
friends with
were
them and
actually
learned what was
protecting you.
going on. It's just a weird world, and some weird things happen, and obviously this is one of them.
Well, I mean, obviously, I could not have anticipated that they were appeasing some foul creature when we had our little confrontation with them. Well, this is done now. If the Telda come back, I will leave them be.
You are honorable, Lord.
This guy shrugs.
Yeah. Well,
I'll get your rooms for the night, and make sure you are well taken care of. You will please let the Baron know that his fee will be arriving in the next few days, hopefully in time for the market fair.
yes, my lord.
He kind of waddles back to his manor. You really don't see him again. He looks. It's hard to say. It's like maybe he's kind of disgruntled that he wasn't the one to be able to take care of that, since it was just one creature. But you guys spend a night there. The villagers are freed of their fears. The inn is a lively place tonight. There's music and drink and song, and you tell the story of what happened more times than you'd wish to. Figure out what parts work, what parts don't work, what to embellish, what not to embellish. You guys hone the story down.
For jumping down the yeah.
To jump down with a war cry.
It gets better.
It gets
I think you have to roll that 4 times and see which one's the best, and that's the story we'll stick with.
And following that, the next day you travel back to Yiget. And that's not a long journey. I think I said it was about a half a day. So with a relatively early start, with maybe a little bit of a hangover, you get out a few hours after sunrise and arrive in Yiget by about what we would call 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And the Baron is very pleased to see you, because you've been gone for a fair amount of time when you finally get back there. And of course, he wants to hear all about it and put it to song and write it in verse. And you spend the next several days doing that. So everybody can have now a healing roll for your. That didn't work very well. That's.
I started, and then someone stops me.
No.
Right.
You got to put the dead thing at the end, Sir Aiden.
Well,
Not at the very beginning.
Well, this all depends. Do you want to give him a penalty for being wounded for an oratory? Because if you don't want to give him that, then he would have made it.
Then he would have made it. That's fair. All right, so we're doing healing rolls. Okay.
Do I get another healing on the joust? I have to wait a week. It's not been another week, right?
It is now. So you guys have been there for several days now.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are healing. I mean, Dame Bridget's not going anywhere. There you go. That finally went away.
I'm studying.
On your healing check on your face is now better. On your elbow, it is now an M1 injury instead of an S2. If Marcus is going to adjust that, that's fine.
Copy.
Okay. So it's now an M1, so it's not bothering you as much. It's getting better. You probably should still nurse it for a bit and take it easy, but you figure another week it'll probably be fine. And during this time, there is a great deal of the Baron asking stories, and a lot of the time he spends talking to Zearson and Hafen about the North Country. How he can't wait to go there, and how he wishes to travel up there, and wants to know about all the places, and wants to go to Guarin, he wants to go to Lariel, and he just can't wait to go up there and see the North Country and finish his poem about the the Jarin revolt of 21 years ago. He's sort of planning it. And
How old is Bridget?
How old is Bridget?
21 years?
She just turned 21.
Okay.
So he's just spending all sorts of time talking about that. And
Nice connection there.
kind of making plans and pulling maps out and wanting to know the best time to go and when did the leaves change and all those kinds of details. He's just picking your brains for those.
Because leaf changing are very important.
Well, you want to.
Well, it looks pretty.
It looks pretty,
It's good. He wanted to go to Quayman?
He didn't mention Quayman.
He didn't. You said something else.
Lariel, Guarin.
Quarren. Okay. Yeah,
Sure,
we can go to Quarren. That's fine. I'm sorry.
Guarin, which is where
Xerxen is from.
Right, Xerxen's from there, and Lariel is the main holding of the. So there's 3 Jarin holdings there. There's Guarin, there's Lariel, and there's Pethwis.
So that's true, Sir Baron. But let me ask you this: have you thought about the best road to get there? Because there's the kind of regular way through Lariel, but there's Norin's way through Norin's Keep. Have you thought about that? Have you been there?
Well, I've heard that he is a giant that. Well, I've heard he's a good storyteller. I've also heard that he is a giant that is sometimes hostile to those who take the path through his lands. I figured that we'd go west across to Olikond and then north, maybe visit my fellow baron in Setru and take the fur road north.
If that's how you'd like to go, that's fine. But your interest in stories led me to think perhaps Norin would be your favorite.
Have you? I don't think that you've met Norin personally.
I don't think I have met him either, but that's maybe on my bucket list.
Now, just as an aside, you guys were talking about making a stop on the way to Setru, just to say hi or something along those lines.
Yes. No, I think visit perhaps I'm on the way back if we have time and go through Norin's way.
It just seemed more direct to me, and perhaps a little safer than to go.
Yes, that's the kind of trouble you don't want to avoid it, and it's not.
I mean, I've heard great stories about it. I'm told he is a giant, and he's hundreds of years old. I am told, and has sons of similar stature that lord over this land. That he's been here almost forever, is what I hear.
Well, but I did the giant part as well.
I don't know.
I've lost track of how old he might be. Certainly, I don't know anything about that.
I do not know where legend separates from reality in this, but he has certainly been here a long time, or perhaps Noron is a title, and men of great stature of his type take on the title and become the Noron. I've heard that too. Some say, but mostly the stories say that he is quite ancient and has lived there for millennia. Well, maybe not that long. Centuries at the very least. Yeah, he has been there. That is what I hear. But he looks at you, Hafen. But can you verify these stories for me, since you are from the North Country?
No, there are all legends. I've not made my way that far east in the North Country, and I only hear what the legends folk speak of.
So you're saying you've heard the same tales?
I have heard the same tales.
Anybody can make a folklore check and see what stories they've heard if they wish to. But I mean, Xerxen.
This is stories of the Jarin.
It's a folklore. This is really the proper use of folklore. Is like what weird stories are there.
Norn is more connected with Sarajan and the.
What's folklore?
Pedialcry. But I don't know if you know that level of detail with it.
Right. I thought he was more of the Northman legend. I guess the Jarin would know. They would have to say similar ones. Yeah.
He lives with Telda around him. You know that much.
Yeah.
There's a tribe of Telda that live more or less permanently around his keep. It's a little bit different than the normal lifestyle because they tend to wander a bit more. But this group almost, they're not quite like serfs, but they have they're more similar to a lord and serf relationship than most Telda would have.
Telda in residency.
Telda in residency, exactly. Zirson, I'll give you with your kind of deeper knowledge of folklore. You have heard that Noron is this ancient entity that is somehow connected to the Ivinian god Saurian, and he was one of a race of beings and creatures that had fled from Saurian many, many years ago. And this group of people or creatures of all sorts are known as the Pedialcri. And you've heard that Noron could be one of these Pedialcri, but he appears as a gigantic man. And you've also heard the stories that Noron might be a title, and that he is of a race of people that's from somewhere from Avinia or Lithia that is of great stature, and that the eldest lord amongst them becomes known as the Noron. And it could be a title that's just handed out from generation to generation, but most most folklore that you've even learned within your chantry suggests that he is of this race of beings, demigods, creatures. He's of this group that had fled from Avinia away from Saurian and has settled here on Harn and has taken up residency in this great keep that's on a road known as Noron's Way. I'll bring up the map because I think that's probably a good time and place to look at it. So, because it is in fact on this map. So you are in Yged, and you're on Noron's Way in a sense. You can take Noron's Way to the north, but as you follow it to its terminus, you end up very much into Avinian territory because you're at Shees and Lorcan at that point, where the Fur Road, which goes by Setru, will bring you to the Jaran side of that road across the North Country. So there's different ways to go.
I would add on to his story for him to give what more I might know about it, but try and present it in a fairy tale type sense of what I've heard and present it as perhaps true.
There's a story in Harn Player. Anybody have their Harn Player on them?
The book?
Yeah.
All I've got is Harn Master.
It's somewhere in my huge stack of stuff I've got next to me.
Bridget, do you have Harn Player near you?
Yeah.
There is a story in there, like a folklore traveler's tale about Noron.
Does it have an index? Let me check. Let me see.
It's probably under N.
I know he likes to seduce men and women.
I've not heard.
Spell his name again?
Noron, Noron.
Just says Nivek Nolamar Nolis.
There's I'm pretty sure there's I'm pretty sure there's a traveler's tale in that book.
Hold on, let me keep looking.
There's like stories, like folklore stories in there, aren't there?
Well,
Let's see. We go through this tome.
There's a selection, and I don't have it in front of me. I seem to recall, and if I'm, do you guys recall the same story?
I recall, but I don't know if it's that
Yeah,
book
I
or a different
recall
book.
seeing something about Noron. And
a
the
story,
whole,
but I'm not sure which book it's in.
Found
Pedialcri
it.
could be under Pedialcri.
Found it. What Bridget? If you could say, I heard, and then paraphrase or read that to us in a nice dramatic fashion.
Well, I mean, okay, yeah, sure.
Because that's how Bridget talks.
Yeah, quote, parenthetical. Okay, I heard Noron is a giant who lives somewhere near the source of the Cold River, along with his elven sons, also giants.
11.
Oh yeah, sorry, 11. The trail the trail leading north from Gardiran in Kaldor to Lorkin in Orbal has come to be called Noron's Way. Several travelers on this road have told of encounters with Noron. End quote.
I think there's more of a story, like a story that talks about I went by there and his sons jumped out and held me at bow point, and I'm never gonna go that way again. I thought there was a story like that in there. But if you can't find it, that's
Yeah,
fine.
there is. There's
okay.
a story.
All right, that's what I was talking about. Because that's more
Oh,
like,
you want me to? Okay.
yeah, it's like a folklore story. That's like I heard from some guy. This is what happened to him.
All right, let's do this. Okay, I heard from some guy that they had journeyed north with 4 wagons, but 7 days when they came to a shallow ford on a fast-running river. 2 of their wagons had crossed when a fair-haired giant, at least 9 feet tall, appeared from the woods and demanded a toll. That seemed fair to them, for they could plainly see the ford was their only crossing, and the axe was mighty big. How much toll? They asked, expecting a penny or 2 per wagon. The giant replied 2 wagons and all that they contained. At first they thought the giant was joking, but he repeated his demand with loud voice. None of the guards, well armed as they were, thought they were wise to match his challenge. Now a toll of 2 wagons, filled as they were with bales of fine cloth, good metal tools, was a robber's toll. There would be little profit in this journey with such a loss. So they resolved to argue the point, which did them little good, for 10 more giants, also armed, advanced on them front and rear. Terrifying it was for them. They feared for their very lives, and would have, if demanded, readily agreed to a 4-wagon toll. But to their utter amazement, the giants did not ask it, and let them proceed 2 wagons short. They followed them for a while until they came to a small village with a stout keep. There they left them, and deemed it wise to tarry not, before they changed their minds about the other wagons. The end.
There you go. Thank you for that. That's what Bridget heard. It's a well-known tale through Kaldor, a warning to those who wish to take Noron's way up to the North Country. But some mercantilers apparently have an arrangement with him, for the road is well kept and well traveled at times. So it just depends. So you
Sounds like a 2-wagon arrangement.
He's got to bring a couple wagons that have nothing in them. Like, yeah, you can have those 2 wagons. Like the goods
The
that
throwaway wagons.
the throwaway wagons, exactly. The cheap guns they keep in the gun safe. Okay. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So days go by. You recover from your injury somewhat, and it doesn't sound like the Baron is ready to go at this time. I mean, he's not. He's talking about this journey happening in probably in early fall. Is the way that he's talking.
Oh, good. That gives me time to study.
That gives you time to study. But you had heard that, as you recall, there was a task that was still before you.
Yes, consecrate some.
Yes, there was a task to deal with a Sir Medin Crow. Bridget's brother had talked, especially to Hafen, about going to an abbey where there is an ancient king that is of the Crow lineage, and he wanted the abbey consecrated or reconsecrated and made holy again, because it has been abandoned now for centuries. And he wanted to know if that's something that you would take upon yourselves to do.
I thought
That
we had
seemed
agreed
like
to
a
do that
good
already.
thing to do. For the Baron. Soon to be Baron. Baron.
That is in fact the Earl in this case.
The Earl. That's right.
The
Earl apparently.
The Earl of Neff.
And his son. Was that is it across the Neff River or no?
So I'll show you on this map your basic understanding of where it might be, because you've not really been in this area. It is no, it's the other way. So your understanding is that it's probably somewhere around here.
Oh, okay.
It is on the edge of the Sorkin Mountains. I'll tell you what, if you can make a folklore roll for me, anybody from Caldor. Especially the knights.
From Caldor?
Yeah, especially the knights. Especially the ones who are
I'm fine with searching for the forest, but I've not been to this place before, and
yeah, it is a new forest for you.
Although, if we have days,
you do have days.
I think I get a hold of, maybe go visit Sir Tannerus Ulrus and see if he knows anything.
That's a good idea. I like that.
So I don't have folklore, so instead I will take care of my horse.
You can open folklore. You should have it.
You got a margin of success. My question is am I really from around here?
Yeah, you're from around here. You're raised. I mean, you've been here since you're
most recently.
You've been here since you're like 10 years old. This forest is called the Kinnear Forest. You've read about it, Emrys, and it is it's known as a dark and forbidding forest bordering the Sorkin Mountains on the eastern edge of the kingdom.
Probably not someplace we really want to go.
It is wild and pristine, inhabited by Telda and Gargan.
Oh, great, Gargan.
Much of the region is unknown to civilized Caldor. Dense Sorkin spruce, mossy ancient oaks, rushing streams, and rocky granite outcroppings. There were a few Miners Guild sponsored expeditions out there to try to reestablish old silver mines, and either they have not returned, or one came back after most of the miners were crushed under a large boulder that somehow was dislodged above them. That is what you have heard about the Kinnear Forest. And the Kinnear Forest...
Tilda don't really like miners, do they?
They don't. And the Kinnear Forest is basically going to be, this area here.
Right in the middle of it, then.
Not on this map. There is a road. There are roads that are not visible on this map, and there is a road that comes down this way that connects those two areas. Let me verify that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. All right. So, on to you, Hafen. What did you wish to do?
Yeah, Sir Tanran Ulrus. I'll pop over. I forget exactly where his hold is.
He holds his keep. Oh, I'm sorry, his manor from Tonat, just to the north.
That's right. Oh, sure. So that's a day trip to go check in on him.
Super easy. Mm-hmm.
Just hey, the Earl Crow is having us look into this place west into the Kiranat Forest. I know you know rangers, you know folks. Can you ask around and see if there's any tips or any recently that's been going on? I greatly appreciate it, sir. And I'll check with the Tilda myself and look into some other things before we go, of course. But
He says, "You're the Silver Way's not on that map. That's weird. It's kind of they're missing a chunk of road on that map." As you going to Xanoth? He asks, kind of guessing at the task a little bit.
yes, I suppose that's not secret. That's the name that Kuro gave us, right? Xanoth?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar. Yes, I believe that's the place.
I have been there once. It was some time ago. He's not an old man. I mean, he's in his mid-30s.
Right. But still, yeah, he's got responsibilities now. He used to be a young adventuring type, right?
Right. I was I was just knighted a few years before then. I was traveling the edges of the Sorkins. It's an old walled keep. About 10 years ago, I was there. It the structures are mostly stone. The whole area is filled with ancient ruined manors. Most of them just completely reclaimed by the land. You may sometimes find a shell of an old stone structure there. Xanoth is near a lake. There's not a lot of Telda villages near it. There's an old footpath that the Telda use that passes through the ruins themselves. Although they do not appear to leave the trail and go much into the ruins. The Telda don't really care to deal with the dead of any sort, especially the dead of they respect the dead. Let's just phrase it that way. But the walls are largely collapsed. The stream at some point had jumped its bank and has flown through a quarter of it and brought the walls down. It's quite overgrown, covered in moss. The land has a wild reputation, but I didn't encounter any dangers there other than dealing with the Telda and respecting them. But I may have been fortunate. I've heard other stories. The Sorkins are wild. There's all manner of beasts. There are Gargan. I did not meet any, but there are Gargan in those hills. That's all I can tell you, I'm afraid.
No, that is plenty, Sir Ulrich. You've done me a great favor. I think the smaller Gargan that I expect around there are handleable in small numbers, and the other creatures I think are not much of a surprise. But that's good to know. The stream near a lake is definitely a great insight onto where we're going and what we might.
It is, and it will help you, and it'll be a great benefit to you that it is on a trail that is fairly well. I think the Telda use it sometimes fish in the lake. So it is a fairly well-used trail. If you follow the Silver Way and leave it just as it crosses the Nephin and follow the bank to the east, you'll pick up an old you'll find an old manor house that's on the north bank of the Nephin. And as you follow, right there is where the Telda trail is going to start. And it's not too far from there. If you follow that, you'll hit a Telda village. If it's still there, they move around. But you'll hit a Telda village, and if you cut north from that village, and follow that trail, you'll find your way there. There's a stream, and just follow the stream into the mountains, and
yes.
It's been a while, so my directions may be slightly off, but there should be a fairly good path once you find it outside of that old ruined manor. It shouldn't be too hard going. It's been a while. It has been a while. good luck. I'm sure the Earl will appreciate the task.
Sure. Yes, and I hope to garner some favor with the Crows and help us. Yeah, help our cause around here. If you have any other favors or anything else you need called in future after we do this, let me know, and we'll.
Certainly. My liege is not in Fof to the Crows, but he is our neighbor, so I certainly cannot do us any harm in trying to assist as well as we can. Okay.
Sure, sir. Also, I will download the details of hunting Nola, because that was problematic. You should spread the tale among the Uthumuruliri.
Okay.
And Xerxen could have came along. I should have thought of that earlier.
Yeah, we could say he did. That's not a big deal. We're just
Yeah.
kind of
Xerxen,
little narrative stuff that you guys did for the better part of a week or so while you're recovering from that last trip.
Like when you taught me Little Sun.
Did he teach you that?
And we have a week.
That's true.
We should start with some more basic stuff. That one's a little bit.
I have some.
Start with the tent.
I have that one.
Oh, he has that one. He has that one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Cool.
that one and the one that start fire little flame thing. But that Little Sun's pretty solid.
Okay. We can work on it.
Okay. During this time, Emrys, are you doing some research trying to learn a spell or two?
Yes, there are 2 spells that I want to learn.
Okay.
Let me get to my Harn religion.
You can find those rules and help Xerxen as well, because he's going to be trying to be taught how to cast Little Sun. It is kind of a bookkeeping adventure day. I apologize for that, but it's okay. Yes, we will get to some things, but
All right.
So while they're looking that up, go ahead if you're done.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I understood we were taking some Loranian priests out there consecrated. And so, do we have an appointment with them yet? Or
not yet. I mean, unless you guys want to say that during this, you could say during this 5 days that you touch base in Gardiran and wish to kind of check on that.
Sure. Let's just say that's getting organized while we're doing it.
All right. So while you're going here and there, you go back by Gardiran and get an audience with Sir Medin.
All right.
Because I made this awesome, it's not as busy right now as this would have you show.
Devachi Song and Ilvir's Child.
Okay, there are some rules on learning rituals, so why don't you dig those up for us, Ted, while we go through this? Would you mind doing that?
Okay. Yes, I'm looking for it now.
I almost don't want to lose this feasting scene here, but
Page
okay.
14, I think.
You arrive here. It is not as
somebody's
busy
birthday.
As this. It's somebody's birthday. It's not as busy as this, I assure you. You have Sir Medin is here in the main hall, conducting business, doing lordly things, managing the estate, and looks pleased to see you. He snaps his fingers a couple times. Hafen, because you look like. Did I get that right?
Yeah, Sir Midden. Good day, Lord. I just deleted myself off the map. But that's a D20 problem. Or a roll 20 problem. Yes, sir, we are looking into visiting Xanov for reconsecrating it, as you requested.
Excellent.
Do you have a favorite Loranian cleric to do the reconsecration, or
in anticipation of this, I have been considering it, and there is a younger priest that I have in mind, named Faradir of Cleve. He'll probably bring a few of his men-at-arms, Meccan, as they call them, common soldiers of Larani. And yes, Matakia Faradir Cleve. Matakia is a title for priest, essentially, in Loranian speak.
Loranian as a religion is imported and so its terms are not in common or in Harnick, but some are from Lithia or whatever. It's been driving me up a wall dealing with this Abbey thing on this other.
Yeah, Matechia and Meccan. So a common soldier is a Meccan, and Matechia is a priest. But they'll call him father or priest or whatever. Yes, he is the one that originally raised the idea with me about consecrating the abbey, and with my father, of course, who immediately seized upon it as being something that must be done immediately. And has, of course, we have thereupon sat upon the idea for several years. And suddenly, once he saw you about and heard that you were here, and he seized upon it again and brought it to my attention, and here we are. So, by
I had
good
no idea I
fortune,
had such renown as a woodsman and pathfinder.
well, he apparently was aware of your, and I saw with my own eyes, of course, your knowledge of the Telda, and that has been our largest concern about sending a group there to Xanoth is that the Telda have some presence there, and they don't always appreciate men on horses walking through their land. And and perhaps Father is the Earl, excuse me, is might be thinking of the future with this location. This was once land that the Crows held. I'm not saying that is his ultimate plan, but it wouldn't put it past me in the future to try to regain this territory. But I'm not. I know that you may have some different feelings about that. I perhaps have spoken too much. But yes, that is the man for the job. Faradir Cleave. He's ambitious. He's young. He has skills. He's martially inclined. He is prepared to do this on foot, although that took some work with him. But I explained to him that it is something that we've learned is the Telda do not appreciate men in metal walking across their lands on horseback.
The horses are seen as a threat. They are dangerous. For mounted knights, I'm sure you know. Pack animals are less so, right?
Fair enough.
But you should know, Sir Midden, what's going to be a great asset in this trip is actually the service your sister, Dame Bridget, has just done for the Telda to some extent through this business in the sheep in Yazlin. And I'll tell him the story that the won't go through it all, but I'll just tell him that
he's really very impressed with
slaying this beast, and no.
It's more like oratory, but
yeah, well, I can try that instead, but it's lower.
yeah, 75.
Yeah, one-on-one. I was trying to do one-on-one and talk up Bridget. That because and really I can see how it gets lost, right?
His eyes start to glaze over, and you just did not go about it the best way.
It's around the bound.
You get her halfway done. Like, well, I'm glad she did well. She's well, right? She didn't get injured in all this.
No. I mean, a few bumps, but she took them like a true knight. And then she's better now.
All right. Well, I'm very glad to hear that. He kind of dismisses your story halfway through because he's getting bored.
How else? I have the information when you're ready.
No offense happened, but that's what happens.
That's fine.
He's less than enthralled by the story. Perhaps it'll grow with the telling, as tales often do. Well, what do you have with all these adventures and recoveries from wounds, and do you have a time frame? I should get with the father about that if there's an idea of when you feel you could start on this.
Well, that's a good question for the 10-day meet here in a 10-day.
A 10-day, that's fair. All right, I will let Faradir know that, and he'll have his men. I think he's bringing 2, not a great number.
All right, wait 1 second, Devin. Is 10.
Sorry, Stuart. What's that?
He disconnected, but he did say 1 moment first.
Okay.
So, do you want to know how to learn invocations? Or did I lose you?
I lost me. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
I was
A
going to say,
10-day.
I'm checking my astrology to see if there was more auspicious time or anything that needed tweaked on that, but I didn't make it. 10-day.
10-day. Sounds good. All right. Well, I will let Faraday know. We'll he has, I believe, 2 men he's bringing, and he will set off from here. If you make it, maybe arrive the day before and get an early start, I'm sure the Earl would not mind seeing Bridget and hearing of these tales himself. So, 10-day out. We can look at a calendar and figure out where we are at right now. It's going to put you towards the end of Kellen, I believe, as you leave.
Yeah, I can dig that up. You guys do the ritual learning
Okay.
tests.
Ted, tell us about it. Or
Okay, so to learn invocations, you have to learn it from one of 3 ways: mentor training,
that's how
Holy Scriptures,
that's how Zeerson's going to learn.
or divine revelation. Mentor training, student and mentor must be fluent, ML61 plus, in a shared language.
Jarin.
Right. Holy Scriptures, that's how I'm going to do it.
Correct.
And divine revelation, where the deity just grants it to you.
Just bangs it into your head directly.
Mm-hmm. To learn an invocation, it costs 5 piety points per circle. The ritual target level.
Can you spend more to have a better chance of learning it?
Yes.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. So just bear that in mind. All right. Ted, why don't you walk Zeerson through the steps and have him learn it through mentor training?
All right. So
you dug it up too. So you guys work together and let's see if we can get that done.
all right.
The way
So
basically
Zeerson,
works
you go ahead.
you got it. If you want to go through, it's fine.
Well, just pick
So
one
the
of you
ritual
guys.
target level, the level that you need is your ritual invocation. For learning a ritual
Skill base.
invocation is your ritual skill base plus will. Then you get a bonus or increase your base ritual target level by the mentor's RSI and or by the RTL of the value of the scripture. So I need to know the value of the scripture. So the mentor's RSI is
What's your
going to
RSI in Little Sun 6? Okay.
Well, his
So in my
yes.
case, it'll be 14 plus 15 plus 6. So
Okay.
29 plus 6 is 35.
And can you spend more piety points to learn it?
I don't see that anywhere, but it might be optional.
Okay.
You can elect to spend another 20 piety points and try again after this time he learns this was. Oh no.
But there is an environmental bonus penalty. And,
yes, there is an environmental bonus penalty for consecrated space to study, pray, and commune with the deity
So you guys
in consecrated ground.
All right. So in your case, I'm sure that what Hafen would do would take you to a holy grove, and because they're everywhere, basically that the Utham have, or someplace that is a close facsimile of it, or it could be sort of where a place where CM would be, where you'd be in his presence, at least in spirit. So you can get a holy ground benefit from that. That's fine. And Ted, you're actually conducting this research in a library and temple
Inside, yes.
dedicated to Ilvir. So that one's not going to be too bad. So whatever bonuses you guys can get, I'll give you maximum bonus for whatever it is. That's fine. I won't.
So plus 10.
Okay, plus 10.
Actually, it's equal to your what is it? Maximum of 13, which is your RSB, ritual skill base.
Ritual skill base. Okay.
Yeah, so you could double your skill base basically through bonuses, and that's including environmental and teacher. So for me, that would cap out at 14.
Right.
Okay.
So that'd be 14 and 14, 20. Wait, was it 35 plus 14 is 49.
That's not terrible. So why don't you?
And it takes 6 days to do it. 2 days per circle. I have to meditate and pray and study.
Okay. So go for it.
So let's see.
Let's see. So just roll a D. Basically, just roll a D100 and try to roll 49 or under, right?
Yep, and I failed. I rolled a 78. I just rolled my. Oh wait, that's not me.
That's not you.
I didn't modify it yet, so it's just straight up.
42.
Oh, but I passed. Aha!
But you passed.
I rolled a 20.
So you've learned that the ritual invocation of Little Sun. Ted, you're doing Holy Scriptures. Assume it's a good book. We'll just make life easy. It'll take you, for this point in time, you can pick one of the two. You won't be able to do both in this amount of time. We'll just go ahead and say that.
All right. Then I will choose. That's the wrong one. All right. The Ilvir's child, which is 5. So 25 piety points. And I'll spend 20 piety points to bring up my roll from a 42 to a 62.
Okay.
And I guess that's with. All right. We could do this through the character sheet, right? Skill advancement.
It's not a skill advancement roll.
So
Shouldn't
what
be.
would this?
I'm not sure. He did a ritual roll, I believe, with modifiers. Is that how you did it, Dave?
Oh,
That's how I did it, but your target number is as you said, basically a D100.
It's a D100. Find your target number, roll a D100, and try roll, that or less.
all right. So then I need to roll a D100 and get 64 or less.
Okay. Success.
Yeah, look at that. Success.
Success.
All right. So I now have that learned, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time going to church services so that I can get back piety points, telling everybody about Elvir.
And we can look at and you've got services coming up. Do you have a religious calendar on you?
It's Elvir. Everything is religious day for Elvir.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah. It is.
Every week, every day is important.
All right. Looking at it does change a lot. You're right. It is Elvir. We are in Kellen. Ilvir's main month is in the months are in the fall, depending on what church it is.
Well, given the nature of my belief systems, I would think that Ilvir's, the church or the group, the sect that I'm probably following the most is the wheelwrights, I believe it is.
Cooklian the wheelwright is in fact the sect you're in.
Yes.
I'll tell you what. We'll just go ahead and I think we've done as much bookkeeping as we can really do, and which makes this kind of like a bookkeeping session, which is fine. It's required sometimes.